What's up, everyone? Another new day, a new beginning. There's shit on the ground. So, tree. Big dog saying hello. Alright. Let's see what we can talk about. So, earlier when I was, playing Second Life, I got on and I had an unexpected guest. And, the universe can send people to you that are kind of like reflections of someone you might know, and it's kind of like when ego dies and then all of a sudden your karma aligns with somebody else's and they appear into your life for a brief moment, kind of like a reflection of the person you were, and now you sort of question, why are they here? And you study them, but their behaviors are very, very abrupt. Maybe not like in an angry way. It's kind of sort of like for example, when somebody comes to your door and they step on your doormat and they laugh at your face because they think that you're a show to them, but that's really just who you are. You're allowing yourself to express something within you that's not a show. It's, a part, it's an essence self that has been there when you lived your past life. Reincarnation is just as real, you guys. It is not fake. It's not a show. It's not a joke. It's just as real as death that comes to an end, comes a beginning. The person you are now will die tomorrow. And the new one, the new self, it's not identity nor a person. It's just you walking through the path that you trust the most, even when it's kind of shitty. You still have to trust it. And this person, she seemed like she was a queen, but there was a lot of scandalism in her brain. She saw me as a joke. Someone who's completely out of it. Because I am out of it. I'm out of the Matrix. And perhaps that is why the universe sent me someone to plant a seed into their mind, to remind them who they are. And, you know, you don't keep them around, of course. You have to let them go, because otherwise they're just going to drain you, and they're not going to learn how wrong they did you. And perhaps they might return someday to talk about the stories of how wrong they did you, to realize that they took, a step back to wear the boots of, both sides, to realize, someday she'll be the person that she mocked, and somebody else is gonna step on her face, and she's gonna remember me, and she's gonna remember all the people that she stepped on. This is just the lessons, It's not vengeance. It's not negative thinking. That's just what it is. It's just, following the steps, but you also have to learn from them. You can't erase them. You can't pretend like, that person who was disabled did not live a hard life. That's how they think, you guys. That's how they think, because they're so occupied inside their own envelope that the environment and the people they surround themselves with were very, very rigid. They were belittling everyone. And I'm sure that, people that reached out to her were also the same back to her. But she didn't want to face it. She ran away to one day meet someone like me that just took her mask off, ripped it apart in front of her, and planted a seed in her mind. I didn't rip her mask, off violently. It just slipped off, and I picked it up, and I told her, you're standing up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself, because if you're being disrespected, you have to say something. You have to make this person aware that they've hurt you. They crossed your boundaries. And if you don't say anything, you're just going to remain, stuck inside their slush. Kind of like, snow and ice. You're stuck. You're allowing someone's ego to play you. You're now this play doll to this person that thinks they can do whatever they want with you because they now can tell you to do whatever they want you to do. You know? You cannot allow someone this immature to belittle your right to be respected. You have to honor your truth like it's your child. Otherwise, one day you're just gonna shift and you're gonna become exactly like that person. And that, you cannot, that might have been the cause of why the universe placed her into my life for just a few moments. She may have gone through so much pain and trauma that she decided to suppress that pain. Look at that sunset. Beautiful, isn't it? It looks like an eyeball reaching into the light. See? That the people that told her false information, and this is not me assuming, this is just things that could be possible. Anything is possible, because there are people out there who that can tell you the wrong information, and they're not even aware they just told you a lie. They can make shit up too. They know what to tell you. They'll tell you what you want to hear, let's just put it that way. People who tell you what you want to hear messes with your fucking mind by a lot. And it's simple words. When it's simple words, it triggers you. That's the noise of the narcissist when they plant their noise into your mind and you allow them in. You are now a victim of someone capable of destroying your life. Your wholeness becomes this empty, broken illusion, kind of like a brick wall, where now you become stuck, you become isolated within your own mind, and it becomes a trap. You gotta understand why it's so important to stand up for yourselves, because there's a lot of assholes like this out there. I mean, it could be your neighbor next door, could be somebody walking by you, going through a hard time, and they're just exactly like you. Going through hell. And you could tell. It's not by their behaviors, it's by their eyes. Their eyes tell you everything you need to know, besides their behavior. You could see the sadness, the betrayal, the rage, the anger, the depression. They could be thinking about killing themselves right now. You could be talking to them right now. 1 minute later, they jumped off a building and died. And there's really nothing you can do to stop it, because you can't, it's beyond your own control. You cannot control people, but what you can do to stop it is tell them something deep, something that makes them think. And I know I said there's nothing you can do to stop someone from killing themselves. That's because, well, some people are a narcissist. If you try too hard to, tell someone to stop, but they kind of use you like a battery. And there's always, things that we can't help everyone. We can't help everyone. And if we can help one person out of 1 billion people besides ourselves, that's enough, And you just gotta be patient. Sometimes people just need that silence. They need someone to listen to them. There's so many people who have a noisy mind. They might not mean it, but it becomes so distracting towards a point where they become the center of attention. And that causes a lot of tragedy, a lot of grief. It attracts a lot of deceivers that receive the wrong information, and they use that as an advantage to betray trust. There's a lot of, negativity in situations like that where, that's why the devil falls. He's the fool. He's the one that tried to tell everyone the truth. The devil might be ego, but the devil is also, Jesus Christ, who tried to tell the politicians, wake the fuck up. Your demons are inside your head. Those are illusions. They're called fears. And if you allow your own delusions to knock you off the cliff, you're never going to get anywhere. It's nowhere. It's not nowhere. It's anywhere. The only difference between nowhere and anywhere: nowhere you're still, anywhere you're cluttered. And that clutter, it's like the bad chaos. It's what creates storms in other people. It's what drives people insane. You start gaslighting and belittling people because your own behaviors become burdens, and you kind of nail on people, You just become this jelly bean. It's like that multicolored Harry Potter jelly bean where when you fucking suck it, you get punched in the face. But except you don't get punched in the face by other people. You kind of punch yourself to the point where now you're like this void. Wherever this void goes, it destroys everything in its path. I call that the devil's fear. It's ego, you know. Ego is the devil's fear. When you use ego to destroy the devil and use the devil to become the devil, you'll learn how to set boundaries to reject the devil. And the devil hates being rejected. That's why he always gets angry. We all have anger, but once you learn to discipline your brain and become unbothered, you become a master at it. You're now wise enough not to give a flying fuck what people tell you, think about you. You sort of become this master manifesting machine where whatever you say becomes true, and more people admire you. They think you're a good person, but honestly, you're really not at the same time. You might have the kindness that makes them like you, but that doesn't mean you're an evil son of a bitch. And you know, the way I look at myself, I'm neutral. I'm not evil, nor am I good. You have to understand that infinity and beyond, it's neutral. It's, you know, if someone pisses you off, you acknowledge it, and if they're open to receive your words, tell them the truth. Tell them how they violated your boundaries, because in time they will understand your pain and they'll be reminded of how they fucked up. But to those who are not open to receive, walk away. It's not worth it, because you already know that they're going to belittle your truth. They're going to crush what you've built, you know, reputation to their ass, you know, like sometimes you have to balance your logic and wisdom, because sometimes you're wrong, sometimes you're right. It's, you know, you cannot be that upbeat, uptight boss in a club, for example, where you're too damn nice. I think that's why, you know, like I've talked about, you know, working with a club manager. He had no ego. But the problem is, when you have no ego at all, well, actually, you know what? That's not a problem. It's not a problem at all. See how I am conscious enough to stop myself right there, where I take a step back and I actually realize that is not me. It sounds like me, but the way that I sounded was kind of like, the egotistical maniac, where it does not want to step off the throne. It wants to be king, but it's a childish Gambino kind of little bitch. It's kind of like the song Childish Gambino, the artist name. But it's just kind of like, it wants to gamble. It's a childish gambler. It wants to control you, but you have to control it. It's a good servant, but a bad master. The true journey is not to praise your ego. It's to allow it to fall behind you, beside you, in front of you, and to become a Garden of Eden, basically. Ego is not supposed to be it's not supposed to be a black horse, a dragon, a unicorn, a crane. It's not supposed to be a big giant black hole. It's supposed to be, it's like a galaxy, it's a big black hole, but it's surrounded by light. When you surround yourself with a positive and negative push and pull, you're balanced, you're one, you're being. You realize that you're not the person. And that's when everything starts to fall apart. And you just stop chasing to be someone else, because you already are that of what you are trying to chase. That's what the system tried to tell you. Chase your dreams, because you'll die soon. That saying, "you'll die soon," is fear projecting. They try to push you to worry about death sooner. Don't worry about it. You're fine. And you know what? If they told you that you're gonna die soon, it's a lie. They have no idea when you're gonna die. And maybe you do have a disease that's eating you up, but you know what? Embrace it. Pain is your power. It's your focus to do better, to leave something behind great, because it's not karma eating you up, telling you did wrong, so this is your hell, deal with it. It's karma leading you to a better direction, to the one that you thought you were going to go to. I'm worthy of $200 billion, but it's not going to be out of greed. It's going to be out of hard work, solitude, and, the word will come one day. And it's really just being true to yourself, true to others, and knowing when it's not true to others. You just sort of have to be. You don't have to be that person for somebody. You just have to Go through it. Be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else. Don't try to, please the wrong person. Like, I'm going through situations right now, like trying to please some people for money. Sometimes you do have to sacrifice yourself to get what you want. But try not to befriend those people. Learn to let go. And know when it's time to, outgrow those people, because at the time it was quite nice. If you're a man, a woman, a girl, or a boy, whatever you perceive yourself as, a queen or king, a prince or princess, whatever, those were moments. Those were good times or bad times. But when you realize the change of behavior within someone, don't chase them. Don't try to reason with them. Let them go. That's it. It's that simple. Let them go. Because they no longer serve your purpose. You're like a tree. You outgrew them. Once you realize who they are, it's their behaviors. When they envy and get jealous instead of appreciating what you've done. Hi. Those are the people that are not your friends. They were more like thieves. You trade your, what you value for their money. And what they were doing for that value had was discouraging you, betraying you, lying to you. They were feeding off your ego to soliterate, if that even is a word, I don't know, to grow their own ego. To do the worst to you in the end. So I'm probably gonna stop it here, but just got back from a walk, and try to rest up too. Regain your authentic self, because sometimes if you work too damn much, you're just gonna become exhausted over time. And exhaustion does not allow you to regain. It distracts you to a point where you start to suppress who you are to become somebody else, and to misfortune them in the end. And what misfortune does to you, it blocks what you asked for, and it goes back to you with the same old lies, same old fears, the cycle of hell that you did not learn. Now you have to do it again because you just ignored your own goddamn boundaries. That's what happens. And you know what? It happens for good reason. Don't look at this as a negative thing. Just look at it outside the box. It has to happen a million times. Otherwise, you're never going to become ready. You're never going to be that master that you saw in a dream, and it could have had a mask, and when you pull that mask off, you see your face. And, this is psychology. But beyond that, there is only emptiness. And the emptiness is the illusion. You cannot see what is out there in the physical realm. You can only see that when you're outside of the body. What is beyond that is God. What is in here is the devil. The system that requires minds. And the big mind is the politics, the star, the backward star, and everything else that flows through politics and, shit like that. The mind is very political, very logical, very manipulative, but it can be used as a tool to help people too. Not to abuse them and hurt them. Sometimes people will come to you and they will be the lesson that tries to help you understand why you can't allow anyone into your life. You have to be picky as hell. You have to set boundaries for yourself, and you also have to slow down a little. Don't go too fast. Don't trust very many people that quick. Because what ends up happening is when you say, oh my God, I like this person, but you haven't got to know them very well, and it's only been like 5 minutes. What ends up happening is you allow this person into your life and hoping they'll stay true. And that will happen, and sometimes it won't. And those people who betray us, they teach us something that they did not teach themselves because they kept ignoring it. We become good listeners and we pay attention. And when you pay attention, you see who they are already. You have eyes like swords. Once someone steps over you without, the conscious to respect you and your space, and they laugh at you because they think you're a show, get rid of them from your life immediately. Don't give people what they look for. Give people what they came for. That way they can sit in humility, and they have no choice but to think about it. So that's about it for now. It's 40 minutes through the video. To those who came this far, comment down below, share your experiences and, your story, and I'll read it. And to anybody else that reads your stuff, they'll say something too. So, have a good one. Stay safe. Help your family. And, I've noticed that I've been occupied with, this too much, and it's been affecting my daily life right now. And that's why it's important to balance ourselves from, certain realities, because it can affect this reality. Our temple is sacred. It's not a toy to be ignored. It's something that is holding who we are. And we must take care of it. Otherwise, when we die, we'll come back as somebody that's going through worse. And we have to be aware and conscious that we are in this body and form right now, and we have to respect it too. We cannot change it. We can change it, and that's fine. You can do whatever you want, but that's identity. That's not who you are. You have to realize this here. I have a beard. I look cute. I'm handsome. And I can do whatever I want. It's my temple. You can do whatever you want, but it's also trying to respect what it was made for. Don't get rid of what you already had. Otherwise, you're gonna become depressed, and then you're gonna go through hell trying to get back what you had, and you just can't because you made a mistake. So, try to be wise and don't think about it too much. Just acknowledge it. Because depression can catch up to you any day. But try to embrace the pain without running away from it. Have a good day.